welcome back to the Vet S.O.S show brought to you by the Who You Know Network, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your job
Absolutely.
search. We are joined by Brett Currier. Let me pull Brett up here. I actually got his picture here. He is, and I'm going to read you a little bit more about him. He's the founder and CEO of Vet Gigs, a talent marketplace with a mission to help veterans and military spouses find new purpose after the military through lucrative careers in technology, consulting, and other professional services. Brett started his career in the Army and the Army National Guard, where he served 12 years. His service included a tour in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn. He's a Deloitte Consulting alumni and currently works at Huron Consulting Group in addition to Vet Gigs. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Brett, for joining us. Appreciate you being here and sharing your knowledge and expertise with us.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Sean, Mark, very happy to be with you. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, thanks. So you've had just a great level of experience. I mean, Deloitte certainly, right, one of the big four, and probably a lot of knowledge gleaned from working with them. Thank you as well for your service. Tell me a little bit more about why you're passionate about helping service members, like prior service members, what you're doing right with Vet Gigs and all of the efforts that you're putting forth.
Yeah, it's something that's deeply personal to me, not only from my time in the service, because I do believe that kind of energy you carry as a non-commissioned officer does carry forward. It doesn't just end when you leave the service. But also had the unfortunate experience of losing a number of battle buddies due to suicide, both while I was in the service and since leaving. And each one of those losses has made it more profoundly personal to me and deepened my sense of mission to help out the veteran community. And as you pointed out, my experience at Deloitte Consulting and now at Huron Consulting Group has kind of put me in a unique place where it's given me the opportunity to help out the veteran community even more by helping them learn about different opportunities in technology, consulting, and other professional services, and really help them prepare for those roles. Because while there's a lot of amazing resources out there, what I found is a lot of them, specifically helping with the transition aspect of things, there are folks who are really well-meaning but haven't worked in the type of roles where they're trying to help veterans transition into. And I mean, that's my kind of day in and day out. So not only are we in a position at Vet Gigs to help veterans get into these different positions and really help place them, but really help with the preparation aspect as well. So a lot of the veterans we talk to are, 6 months, a year and a half from transitioning. And we kind of help put them together a development plan and connect them with free resources needed to really become marketable candidates for these roles.
So leaving Deloitte, right, in the experience, the service, really, I guess, in part, in going from the Guard, well, active duty, and then to the Guard, and then to Deloitte, getting that experience. Where did the Vet Gigs idea come from?
Yeah, so that's actually a really great question. It's something I've really been thinking about for years, and it's gone through a few different iterations. When I first got into Deloitte, I was a little bit befuddled because they're pretty good about reaching out to the veteran community in the way they know how to. It's obviously this huge bureaucracy. So trying to reach a very small niche community can be really difficult for such a big organization. But when I was there, I was just surprised by how often we would be working on a multi-million-dollar contract. There would be an opportunity to bring on disabled veteran subcontractors to millions of dollars of benefit to Deloitte. And they would just like, no, it's too tough. We're not going to be able to get veterans to do this kind of work. And I'm, what? Like, these are amazing opportunities for our community. Like, what do you mean we're not going to pursue something
You're
that's
just
going to bring
giving up,
millions?
huh?
Yeah, where it's something that's not going to bring millions of dollars to the firm, but it's also going to provide amazing job opportunities for a diversity, equity, and inclusion community, one that I care deeply about. So I originally thought of it as kind of a staffing firm idea, like, hey, we can connect people better than a lot of the staffing firms out there. But then I saw it was around the time I actually lost my second close battle buddy due to a suicide, that I saw that, we need to have a model that's far more scalable than staffing firm, because there's so many staffing firms out there, and they don't do that great of a job, and it needs to be a little more automated, a little more use of technology. So I saw the way Upwork and Fiverr were really adequately connecting communities of freelancers and employers together. And I thought, why don't we have a platform like that just for the veteran community, where when big firms, small firms, anybody needs veteran community members to work on their projects, especially high income, high skilled projects that veterans can really excel at, they can come to our platform, and it's in one central location where they can find this fantastic talent, both for jobs and professional, or jobs and freelance work alike.
Man,
And
that's
yeah,
innovative.
on the path.
Aaron actually just joined us. I'm going to let him in here as well. Let me get us up into a 4-box here so we can see each other a little bit better. There we go. Hey, welcome, Aaron. So you guys collaborate and work together, right? Aaron, thanks for joining us. I have asked, Sean and I like to hear a little bit more about why you're passionate about helping active and prior service members. Why are you involved?
Yeah, certainly. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My connection's really slow, so I apologize for that. Me personally, it was interesting. Brett actually reached out to me, trying to recruit me to post jobs on vet gigs, because I own a digital marketing agency, and I've been in the industry for 22 plus years. And I am always actively trying to recruit veterans to come and join me.
What are some of the things that I guess you have seen as far as the market as of late, and either of you can answer this, right? For veterans, and we've asked some of the other guests this too. More receptive at this time and point, or less receptive?
So this is actually an ongoing conversation I have with our employers, with members on our advisory board. We actually have the CHRO of AppDirect, Deb Tenenbaum, who serves on our advisory board. She just provides fantastic insight, because this is someone who just day in, day out is working with HR leaders across the private and public sector. And she was like, you know what? We are in an unprecedented time, certainly, and workers are leaving like crazy from places from their place of employment, as they realize, I could have something better, making it really high turnover. Everyone's seeing a lot of tumultuous and activity in their workforce. But from the perspective of HR leadership, they're all really focused on one thing. Yes, they would like to have more DE&I talent, and there's been an effort to involve more, to add more diversity, equity, and inclusion talent into their overall talent pool. But what their overall goal is, in general, is to get the largest talent pool possible, so they can pick the best candidates from that. So I would say there's more openness by HR leadership in hiring veterans, but they're still competing versus civilian counterparts. Looks like Aaron dropped off. He should be back on in a second.
It's been a day. People have been dropping off, including me.
Oh, man. But sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Brett. Finish up.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so, what I'm seeing a lot of at vet gigs is our talent is really still competing versus the greater civilian population. And I'd say the biggest struggle is having them be competitive against candidates who even just have 2, 3, 4 years of directly relevant experience. And what I constantly do is help our veterans reframe their experience so it doesn't look like they have 10, 15, 20 years of experience in the military, and now they're starting a new civilian career. It's a big effort in helping them rephrase their experience. So we point out the most relevant pieces of their civilian or their military experience, and it shows that their relevant experience actually started while they were in the military. It really makes sure that comes clear in their resume. And then accompany that with certifications and whatnot they've gotten during their transition to help show, yes, I do have background in this role. I do meet the qualifications and desired qualifications. And, then kind of partner that with freelance work to help show they have experience in the civilian world, or internships as well, which show that they have relevant experience in the civilian world. So it takes the thought out of the hiring bodies, so they're not thinking, are we really taking a chance on this this veteran, instead of going with someone who maybe has less years of professional experience but more years of directly relevant civilian experience.
Yeah, and welcome back, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. You brought up a good point, which is the cost of a hiring mistake, right? And maybe Aaron, might be right up your alley. The cost of a hiring mistake. I mean, let's say you get somebody onboarding and you're going to pay them $100,000, right? And so you've got the salary, and that's probably the base, right? Let's say that's the base, but maybe total comp is in the 140 range, 130, 140 range when you factor in benefits and everything else.
Yep.
And you get somebody in, and let's say they're with you for 2 years, right? You're talking over $250,000 mistake. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like what are companies experiencing with veterans and service members, maybe specifically, and some of the pitfalls and how they're overcoming that, and how you guys are helping in that space.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I have firsthand experience. I have far too many, examples. We all like to think that we, hire well and we do our research, but sometimes it's just a miss. Sometimes life happens, and best laid plans. That happens a lot. So, I mean, typically when you onboard a new employee, it really takes them 6 months to get up to speed with company culture, with processes, just getting your head wrapped around. Even if they have experience doing the job, every time you move to a new company, the job might be the same, but the job is done differently every single time. So the cost to recruit and train, and then you've got 6 months before you can really give them a fair shake on, performance. So like you said, depending on their role, God, if it's a sales role, it's even more devastating, because then you've got your salary, you've got your benefits, you've got your total comp, but then you have the missed opportunities of maybe not hiring a great salesperson. Same goes with technical roles. If you've ever been in Salesforce, holy cow, it's a lot. It's a beast. And if you've got a not great Salesforce admin or a not great Salesforce team, again, the opportunity cost, you can't measure it, because you don't know how big of an impact the leakage is, the missed opportunities. It can be, in your example, it was $250,000. Well, what if you're selling to, the state of New York? How big of an opportunity this is that? It could be worth tens of millions or even more when you're talking about enterprise level opportunities, and of course, government opportunities. And we all have that experience of, those large contracts. Once they start, they kind of just keep writing those checks, which is great. So your $1 or $2 million miss might actually be 20 million. So it's stats.
Yeah. So I'm getting a little bit of an echo. I think, Brett, maybe it's coming through your feed. The mistakes, like you said, they can add up, right? And so I get it why companies, and Sean, maybe you can, share a little bit about your interviewing experiences, right, or your search experiences so far. Um, but at the same time, look, in the military, what do we have to be? Adaptable, right?
Yes.
Adapt and overcome.
Yep.
And so I think that yes, it could be a mistake, but the onus isn't completely on the company either, right?
Oh no.
And that's where Veterati, that's where vet gigs and MTR, some of these other resources that we're trying to bring to light here, um, can help. And I think that that's one of the things that we're trying to bring forward is how to overcome some of those things, be adaptable, and be able to succeed, to excel in a position that could be construed as maybe a mistake, but you're able to overcome that, right? You have the skill set. Obviously, they wouldn't have brought you in if it wasn't on your resume, right? So,
Right.
Yeah,
Brett,
and that imposter syndrome is something that Aaron and I have definitely
Oh my
talked a
God.
lot about. We see that a tremendous amount in the veteran community. So it's just trying to assure them as well, like a talent to clarify. We'll get you prepared, but don't worry, there is going to be a little bit of a runway when you start a new role, and that's okay. You're going to be learning the company, you're going to be learning the industry, you're going to be learning the job. And so, we'll do our best ahead of time to prepare you for the industry and the job, understanding through certifications, talking with mentors in the field to prepare you as much as you can. But there's going to be an element of on the job learning, and employers generally expect that. As long as you are really putting your all in to learn that new role, like you did in the military, you're going to be fine. Just put in that effort.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I'll add a little bit to that. I know, again, I've had the experience of, hiring new grads or hiring, for junior positions. And one of the things that a lot of times companies don't think about is you're hiring somebody new to the industry. So you're doing training, but you're also hiring people who are kind of new to adulthood. So you're teaching them how to be a professional. They literally don't have the experience of how to interact with people. I remember one of my first jobs, out of the Marine Corps, one of my first office jobs, emailing back and forth, and I actually got pulled aside by my boss. Said, "Hey, your emails are like really direct. They're like a little harsh." I'm like, really? I was just answering, and I said, well, one of the things that we do here is say, like, sign off with thanks on every email. Who would have known that? Thank you, corporate America. Just those little things. You're teaching people new to the workforce how to be professionals, and while some military veterans may have a little bit of a rough edge, but we know how to be professionals. We know how to not take it personally and adapt and overcome. That's, I think, unfortunately, one of the biggest things that you'll hear, one of the biggest complaints when you get people cracking on, millennials or Gen Z, how soft they are, or whatever. I honestly think it's just because they haven't had the opportunity to learn how to, adapt and overcome, because they haven't had that experience. And, we in the veteran community certainly have. So that's totally one of the things that gets missed when hiring from our community. And because we don't have, we might not have that, 5 years experience or that, polished degree from wherever. Yeah. Like Brett said, I mean, we've had so many discussions about imposter syndrome and, but I was on an aircraft carrier, so I don't know how to do this. Or me personally, when I was in the Marine Corps, I spent most of my time in supply and in a logistics S3 office. I had no idea how valuable experience that would be for me as a project manager. Like, holy cow, that was better than any sort of project management experience you could get from a book. Being able to coordinate with all the different units, coordinate requests, track where everything is, that's project management. I didn't understand that as a 19-year-old kid, or as a, I don't care, 22-year-old kid coming out of the Marine Corps. So there's a lot of ways that we can help, translate that experience and really educate employers on, we've got this experience. It just looks different, and we can apply it in a way that other folks can't.
Man, you guys are just totally hitting the nail on the head here, because it just sparked another question for me, which is degrees, right? Degrees. So a lot of us, obviously, if you're an officer now, if you're commissioned, you've got to have, at least your bachelor's degree, your undergraduate degree. A lot of folks, enlisted still today are leaving without perhaps a degree. And there's been a little bit of a shift I've heard in the career transition community, career search networks, in the companies that are engaging there, less of a strenuous requirement for a degree. But it's also that translation of experience, right, then that comes into play. What are you guys seeing in that?
So I mean, I think I could take this one. I kind of have an interesting take, being a higher education consultant for my regular job, and then also just helping a lot of veterans through as a kind of counselor type role at Deloitte. And I really tell folks to start with their overall goal in mind. A lot of veterans haven't really thought through their end goal, or maybe have a rough idea, but they're just plowing into training, certifications, whatever, and kind of moving in 100 different directions and getting nowhere. That burns a lot of resources, the first of which being their time. So I tell them, hey, let's sit down and spend some time talking about a really targeted end goal. You want to be an ERP consultant. Maybe you want to work at Aaron's firm and be in marketing. Do you, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What's your, what is your end goal here? Do you want to be a Salesforce administrator, or, even beyond that, you want to be a Salesforce consultant, and admin's your first step, or going the development route is your first step? All of those are completely different goals that are going to take entirely different development paths. Now, what's interesting is, traditionally, if you wanted to be an ERP consultant, we'll use that as an example, you would need a degree generally to get in, or at least to be highly competitive. Things are changing now. And, as major tech companies are saying, we don't really care about a degree all that much. We'd much rather have you come in with prior work experience, and we'd much rather have you come in with actually experience in the role we're hiring you for. So, we're seeing groups like Google put out free certification programs, and we're seeing them say, hey, if you go and take these certifications, we'll hire you, as long as you have the background that makes sense. In a lot of ways, that works to the benefit of the veteran community, because we can come out and say, look, I've got all these amazing soft skills. I've got a lot to bring to the table. Maybe they don't want to go and get their degree, or maybe they've already used their GI Bill or given that to their family. So going to college isn't going to be the best ROI for them. But we can get them set up with a free Coursera license through one of our partners, build a development plan for them based on a end goal we've identified together based on our experience in different areas of professional services and technology. And then through the free Coursera license and other resources out there that are free, really start focusing on the 20% of input they can make to get 80% of the output. That 20% of certifications, courses, training, internships, whatever out there, that's going to make 80% or 90% of the difference. And we're finding increasingly that's not higher education. So I generally won't ever discourage someone from, pursuing a higher education degree, but I have in cases where they're like, I'm just going to get my degree. I'm going to do something like creative leadership or something. I'm like, why creative leadership? I don't know. It sounded good. I'm like, all right, it's probably not a best use of 2 years of your life, guy. But it really starts with honing in on what's your goal. Where do you want to go? And then talking to people who work in that area, who are 5-10 years in on that career path, and saying, hey, looking back, if you were to come up with the most optimal trajectory and like how to get into your field, how do I do that? That was something I did when I was looking to get into consulting, and I talked to experts in the field. And even when I was in interviews, I would ask the interviewer, "Hey, is there any other certifications you recommend I pursue? Any other training? Anything else I would do to make myself the most optimally marketable candidate?" And they gave me advice, and it's worked. And now we kind of pass that on to veteran candidates who are looking for roles, and military spouses as well.
That's what I love about what you do, because I reached out to you through Veterati. It was a call. I had no idea anything about vet gigs or anything like that. And we got to talking, and you're one of the few I've talked to so far that actually went straight into building a profile on me. As we talked, you spit out this whole profile and sent it to me, and then lined me up with the free Coursera account. And then we did a follow-up call, and you're the only one really that I heard talking about like this co-op type thing. Now, a lot of the veteran support organizations are starting to come together and work together, but you were the first one I've talked to that actually came out and talked about that. Can you enlighten us a little bit on this concept that you have going on, and how you see the veteran support organizations and community moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Sean, because it's something I think is crucially important to our community. A lot of veterans get really frustrated when they can't get everything they need from the one or two organizations they know about in the veteran community for help, such as the VA, for example. The VA is a great example because they are massive bureaucracy with a lot of resources. Unfortunately, they have a very narrow scope on what they do. They're healthcare. Healthcare and financial benefits for disability. That is their narrow scope of value defined by the government as what they're supposed to provide. They do provide a lot of other ancillary value, the newsletter with other resources in it, things like that. But, they're focused on the healthcare and disability benefits. Now, when, I use the analogy of a net. Within a net of resources to support the veteran community out there. The VA is one strand of rope in that net. Vet gigs is another strand of rope. Our narrow scope of value is employment resources and, helping veterans prepare and become marketable candidates for those roles. There are groups like We Too Are Vets who provide another narrow scope of value of empowerment and support for women veterans and helping them with prepare for employment and whatnot. Groups like Tech for Troops, who's another one of our partners, who provides hardware for veterans who are looking to connect with family or need to use that hardware to build resumes and submit job applications, get on vet gigs, things like that. So we all kind of work together to provide that support, but we all have a narrow scope of value. On our own, we're just a narrow strand of rope. And if a veteran falls on a strand of rope, they're bound to get tangled up, get hurt, but it's not really going to help them that much. But together, when we come together like this and talk to each other about these resources and how we can provide end-to-end value, we start tying knots between the ropes and then build a net that actually is really supportive of our community. So what I've tried to do with our network, our co-op of different resources that we've talked about before, Sean, is look at the end-to-end journey of our users. From the time they are transitioning out of the service or just having trouble in their career. Maybe they've already been in the workforce for 10 years, but they're looking to transition into another role or move up and they're just kind of stuck. What does their journey look like? What are all the potential needs they could have? And while we can't provide it all through vet gigs, we can work together with all of these other organizations out there and provide end-to-end support, really making sure they get what they need to transition, well into the community or get to that next level in their career. And so we work with groups like Tech for Troops, with We Too Are Vets, with groups that provide training resources out there to help them reach their needs as well. Mental health resources, physical health resources, nutrition resources, whatever it may be. We can try and work with other organizations so we can help not just in our narrow scope, but together in an end-to-end life cycle using all of our scopes of value.
Yeah. We had a question from Seth Harrison in our LinkedIn audience. And I think this was Aaron to one of the comments you were making about, funding, et cetera. Is it true about these programs that can get you more GI Bill money if you've used yours or transferred it to your kids or spouse? Are you guys aware of additional support there that you can get additional financial resources?
I'm only
aware of one in Texas, and that is for
The
Texas
Hazelwood Act?
veterans. The Hazelwood Act. I'm a native Texan. I used the Hazelwood Act to get my entire MBA, and all I had to do was pay for books. So fantastic. Awesome. And I still have about 60 hours to give to my daughters should they choose to go to a public university in Texas. So that is the only one that I know of.
There's another called VRAP that they may be mentioning. Seth may be mentioning. I think it was who had the question. So the VRAP program is something that is put into play by the federal government anytime there's high veteran unemployment, which is kind of a subjective term. I'm interested actually what their idea is on that. Like before COVID, we were at like 6%. And it shot up during COVID. But VRAP is in place currently, and I think there's 1,600 programs that take VRAP dollars, and they provide certification support, training support. Sometimes they're full on higher education institutions, and you can get a full college degree. Otherwise, it may be something like getting your PMP or getting Workday certified or something like that. And so all kinds of different organizations, you can actually Google VRAP programs and find the full list, see if the organization you want to get training through is a VRAP provider. And if it is, check it out, because that's completely separated from your X number of months of federal education benefits you get from being in the military, your GI Bill, and can be really beneficial. Really, really beneficial too. And that's actually something we're going to be working on in the future is developing more of those relationships with VRAP providers, because going back to their own kind of narrow scope of value, they're legally obligated to help with placement, but a lot of these institutions are really only training providers. They're not employment providers. So they may have some kind of employment assistance office, but it's mostly going to be a job board. And Vet Gigs isn't a job board. We have direct relationships with all of our employers. So, that's where we come into value. And we'd love to have more partnerships with VRAP programs, actually helping directly with the placement of their people through our awesome employers who provide great opportunities to the veteran community.
Is there any, can you tell us a little bit, and I know we're getting down to time, I don't want to be respectful of your time, but the program itself, cost of entry, who's it available to? Can you tell us a little bit more about the program itself, your Vet Gigs?
Vet Gigs, yeah, absolutely. So Vet Gigs it's free to jump on, make an account, make a profile. If you find a job on Vet Gigs, zero out of pocket costs from or for the veteran on that. We are a freelancer marketplace, so the bulk of our functionality is built to make freelancing easy for veterans. And we don't focus on the churn and burn jobs you see on Upwork or Fiverr. That's another one of our distinguishing factors. We focus on, one of the reasons we're focused on tech and professional services is because consulting and technology projects are much longer and much more lucrative. So instead of, work on Upwork or Fiverr, Genie, you may see where they're $20, $30 an hour. Ours tend to start at $50 an hour and go, sometimes well above $200 an hour. and they're longer term. So you might be engaged for a year, 2 year long project in which you're making that, 40, 50 hours a week. And so really amazing opportunities for the veteran community. And for those freelance projects that we help iron out any of the pain points on, ranging from getting the work, coming to agreement on terms on the work, so you won't have to do a lengthy SOW. It's just, hey, I want you to pay me this much per hour for doing this kind of work, and I'll do this many hours per week or month, making it super easy. And then getting paid. We work through Stripe to automatically pull the payment directly from the employers and put it directly in the account of the freelancers. So you're never having to chase down employers for payment. And for helping with all of that, we do have a nominal commission-based system, which can be reduced as low as 1% when veterans are on there, referring other veterans or military spouses to the platform to help introduce new opportunities out there. Because we really do spread by word of mouth. Primarily, we want to spread the word about these amazing opportunities to other vets and military spouses. So we provide as much commission discount incentives as we can to help spread the word.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It really falls in line with, us trying to work with other veteran orgs. It really is, forgive me for the Navy term, but the rising tide really does lift all of our boats. And, if we're helping veterans and military spouses and they're helping us, then we should all share in that.
And on that note,
Crimson Tide.
I did forget to mention, Aaron, but you raised a really good point. That network of organizations we work with across the veteran community. When a veteran or military spouse joins Vet Gigs, they say how they heard about us and which programs they use. So if they went through We Too Are Vets and Tech for Troops, both, then if they end up finding work on the platform later and any revenues generated on the platform, we then carve off a percentage of those profits to the organizations they used as well. So really, the rising tide does lift all boats in the veteran community. It helps the veteran talent who got these amazing opportunities, kickstarted or accelerated their career, and it lifts all the organizations they came through to help make that happen for them. And that's something we're really passionate about and want to continue looking for ways to reinvest in the veteran community as we build these opportunities.
Yeah, outstanding. Well, guys, we're down to time. Thank you so much for joining in with us. I love your mission. I love what you're doing. So innovative as well. So especially for this space, right? For this segment in our audience. You guys are doing some great things. Thank you for sharing. Real quick, big smile, audience. Take a screenshot. Show Brett, show Aaron some love. Post it out there, put that up on your social media outlets, tag them, right? So they can see and feel that love. And check out vetgigs.com, vetgigs.com. Great program. Guys, that's the show. Vet S.O.S. And let me see here. I know, Sean, you had created the tagline, so do you want to give it to him?
Which one? I came up with a whole bunch of them.
Whichever you prefer, man.
Oh, man, you put me on the spot. I didn't even have it up.
That's all right. I'll fill it in. So don't drown in the transition sea. We're talking about the tide. Don't drown in that sea. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Life Preserver and get your lifeline going.
Thanks,
you go, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great weekend. And look forward to our next visit.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks.